Hello everyone, this is Daniel, and I'm going to be talking to you about who Jesus really is to you. I know this is not going to be popular enough for some of you, but hold on. So, who is Jesus to you? Is he basically your love of your life? Is he like family to you? Is he like the person that you must obey? Or is he a person to you that you really hate and you reject? Two of those answers, mainly, will set you free to heaven. And the other two, well, you know, I'm not going to mention. So, there's also another answer, which is the fifth one, which you don't know if you believe in him or not, but you're just thinking, well, he's just mysterious. Some people don't believe in Jesus, some people do, but they know that Jesus is real, but they have battling thoughts. Many of them either choose Jesus or not. Some of them reject him later on because of what the church did. So, let me tell you in one instance that we should do. As a whole church, we should be loving towards one another with pure love and compassion towards the dying and the lost. And that's the reason I was saved, and that's the reason why my mom was saved. Just compassion and love for the lost. And if you think that you're really proud of yourself, that you're better than others, well, let me tell you something. You're not saving a lot of people doing that. And let me be clear about that. Anyway, what is really the love of Jesus like? It's really just simple. You'd rather be in the people's place just to, to save them, no matter what. You'd rather do anything just to save people, even if it's to take their place, just to give them the place of heaven, even if you sacrifice your own place in heaven. That's how much people would rather love you. They'd rather just do anything for you to be going to heaven. That's how much we love you. So, just to be very blunt and clear, that the people that are really loving and bold about it and not fearful, those are the ones that are setting people free. So then there's the people that are falling in love with Jesus and completely just wanting to be with him forever. It's not that they're obeying God. No. They're just falling in love with Jesus no matter what people say. Even if people think, even if they think that people are being rough with them and that people are just mean to them, they'd rather go to Jesus. And unfortunately, these people are, far and few between. Well, these days, not in the past, but these days. It's sad that a lot of people are not having compassion just to do missionaries. There are some people that do missionaries in Haiti, and other places in Africa, a lot of these things. Some of these people that do missionaries are not really Christian, but they're so loving. Even then, if you gotta love in Christianity, because there's a type of love that is found nowhere else. And that is compassion for the people like no one else can do. And that is the true Christian. There are true Christians that are mean, but many of them are just, thinking that, he's like a family member and he's not really, just pure love. Yes, there are Christians that are out there that are saved, but really not the nicest people ever. Even though they're saved, many of them, either forgot about their first love and they just don't have the perfect relationship with God, and they don't have a lot of rewards in heaven. Or, on the other hand, they're loving and they want to set people free, and they get a lot of rewards in heaven. Because the first thing that you should have as a Christian, there's two talents: the talent of the world, the talent of preaching. There's a talent of love. There's a talent of musical artist. And the fifth talent, I would say, is really just as a fifth one, it's like, you know, basically like an artist in every type of way. So I have a lot of, talent, but what makes me have that many talents? Is that like making me rare? I wouldn't say that. There's people that have two talents, the talent of the world, and then there's also the people that have the talent of being saved. They will have two talents, and they will store up some treasure in heaven. But the people with 5 talents, I guess, on earth, will get 10, and then another from each person. So keep that in mind. And those that are having 5 talents are reaching out to people no matter what, some of them, and they'd rather get people saved. Either if it's by love or any of these things that reaches out to people, these people are being saved no matter what. So, for instance, if a person has a lot of love and they want to be with Jesus and they're just saying Jesus is the most wonderful thing ever and he's like the most beautiful being that you can ever have and he's preaching this love to you and just trying to get you saved, and they're saying, oh, well, they're just saying that they talk to Jesus all the time, he's spiritual and just communicating with Jesus. That's beautiful definition of love. Then there's also a definition of Christianity that isn't really there for you, but really they save themselves no matter what. I believe there's such a thing as when you're saved, you keep that salvation. Is there like a condition? Well, what would be the condition? Let me point out that some people don't know what the condition is. No one knows what the condition is, actually. The reason I say that is, well, God wouldn't give a condition, no matter what. Well, now, why is that? For example, how many things would you have to do to not believe? What would the point of unbelief be, even if he's trying to get to you? The only thing that you can say to yourself the way you believe is by your heart. Did you really believe? If you didn't really believe, then you're no longer saved. And you weren't saved to begin with, says the Bible. And, as the Bible says, if you didn't have love, you're like a clanging cymbal. And if you didn't have works, your faith is dead. It's like both ways. You're vain if you don't have love. And you're like a clanging cymbal, and your works are dead without faith. Like I said, your works are dead without faith. And let me repeat that. Your works go with your faith. But it doesn't mean your works come first, it means your works come second. So your faith is also dead without works. Let me repeat that. Your faith is dead without works. Why is that? Well, why do we work? To make sure people are saved. Let me tell you something about faith that we just probably don't even know about, and that we should probably just talk about right now. Faith. What is faith? Faith is an implication of doing the will of God, which is having yourself saved, which is work, but not really work, because it's really faith alone in Jesus alone. But once you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you'll want to do more things for Jesus, says the Bible. You want to do more things for the people, thus you will want to save as many people as possible. So why do you want to save people if you don't have works? Again, it's not really the faith, it's salvation. So what is faith without works is dead? Well, salvation is not. It's not salvation without works is dead. It's faith without works. It's dead. So if you say, well, I had faith for salvation, it comes with a work. There's only one work, and that work is salvation. But if you had faith in salvation, but you said, oh, I have faith in salvation, it's not, and you don't really have the action to it, it's really dead, it's non-existent. Why is that? Because what is faith? It's non-existent without work. As you can see, James said it very, very bluntly. It's not that you must do works. It's not that you must obey God. It's that you believe to the point of doing whatever you must do to save as many people, to do what God asks you to do. It's not that He is a dictator and demands you to do that. It's that He is a generous king that would tell you certain things so He can do things for His people, for His symbolism, and for His love. So for His people, would work for salvation, for symbolism, to symbolize who He really is, and that He is God, and if you listen to Him, it's like a reward of His ways are not our ways. So let's just say that if you really listen to God and you know it's God, then you really know it's God. And for His salvation, you really, understand that it's God. So let's go back to the 4 and 5 things that you understand about God, the type of thing. So do you really consider God as your best friend, your most beautiful other that you'd wish to be with forever and ever and ever and ever? Or do you consider God as your family? Because of course He's your family, but He's also like a bride to you. So if you really love God, then He's considered your bride. And then if He's like your family, He's also your bride. But then you meet more of your family more often. But also, just know that God won't be with you as much, except for in preaching, and also in teaching, because He didn't want you to know about Him as much, except for as a family. Then there are those that's the middle ground, which agnostically they don't understand who God is, but they believe that He exists. And then those who are basically on the other side, which is the fourth one, those people, would rather have Him as a dictator. They would rather have Him, do anything just for salvation, which really is not really works for salvation, it's works for faith. These people have it wrong, and many of them will perish because they do not know God. And He said, "Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness," which really, pride is lawlessness. Then there's also the fifth one, which is, full-blown atheist or full-blown hater of God, which hates God so much that he or she would rather be in hell than to be with God, which is a horrible thing to do. And I've seen people have a wrecked life and would have a desperate life because they don't have faith in anything, and I'd wish that they would take my place and just have more calm life and have more these people are so hopeless. I mean, these people are so sad and so depressed about their own daily lives, and they don't understand that this is real life. And I don't like it when people just suffer. I can't stand suffering like that. So if they suffer and they say, "Oh, I don't have a job," and they complain a lot and they say, "Oh, I'm too dumb," I don't know what salvation is, I'd rather go to hell, or I just can't go to heaven, God is evil because I have a miserable life. Alright. I'd rather take your place and just know that Jesus was a man with many sorrows. Even then, he knew that He was going to take our place. He was going to basically give us a free heaven, a free gift of His own life in heaven. Even though he's still in heaven, he gave us a free gift of heaven, a free gift of salvation through him. Once you believe that, how much you believe that? I mean, really, a man that was a Satanist that became a Christian would understand that God is so loving and that they were so wrong. That many sinners that come to God, like the thief on the cross, they're so beautifully, that beautifully understands about God that when they hear about Christ and they hear about his miracles, they'd rather be with him on the cross with him, to have a special place in heaven, to be remembered in heaven. In that day they get salvation. When they get salvation, they're forever remembered in heaven. And these people, and that especially that thief, was just so beautiful that he was actually considered in Jesus' eyes the best man that was not his family member in the 80 times, maybe even the 80 times after his cross. More like after his birth and after death. Actually, I would just say he was considered the best man during the time of Christ. So, who do you think is really better? Paul, which by any implication he was a man of faith, or the thief on the cross that had so much faith that without seeing him until he actually saw him, he would just want to be on the cross with Jesus, to have his special place in heaven? What about without seeing Jesus, and actually just would rather have a special place in heaven? If you ask for a special place in heaven, and you actually know that you're doing the right thing, and you want to do that without pride, and it's basically the place where he wants you to be, is in a special place of heaven, where, if you really want to be remembered as a person that really loved Jesus, he will give you that place of remembering of how much you love Jesus. How much you love Jesus really matters, because if you don't know about Jesus, then who do you really know about Jesus? Because we all know about Jesus. You either reject him, or you don't reject him. Because if you don't know about Jesus, then you already know about him. Why? The agnostics believe there is a God, but they have, some faith, but they don't know if they believe or not. Obviously, they know there's a God. And the atheists, many of them full out reject. Some of them believe there's a God. So many of them believe there's a God. And the fact that all the people that actually know there's a God, except for the very few people that are on the earth that just, flat out never got taught about God, and that just, they never had dreams or anything like that, and they just don't understand. Well, would they go to heaven? Or would Jesus call out to them, even if they don't understand who that God is, and all they know about is Buddhism and all that, even though they've had Christians in their life? Let's say the people, 1,000 years ago in North America, they've had dreams about God, and they would just say, oh, that's another God. But they never understood, some of them. And some of them understood. And some of the North Americans were actually saved because, well, in their dreams, they believed in their dreams. So if they see that God, that Jesus, if he says, do you accept me as your Lord and Savior, and they say yes in their dreams, they're actually saved. And Jesus would continue to do that to the North Americans that were before us in the United States. He would do that to so many people in North America that even before colonization, he would just get to them. So don't you think that, people don't see Jesus, don't you think that we have to preach to people because they don't see Jesus at all? If we don't preach them, we can still preach to them and they would understand. Even better, they already knew about God because God was there before us. So it's a beautiful picture that God paints that he loves people so much that he wished all people were saved. And if a person, wishes that all would be saved, that all would not suffer, I wish that no one suffers. And in hell it's going to be so bad, it's going to be so terrible that it's like we forgot about them, but we would wish that they would not suffer on earth. That's why God says, do not know who is going to hell or heaven, judge not or be judged by the world. He gave us clear warning, unless that person has fully blown, rejected God, and you can tell by their death, like a few days later, that, by implication what the Bible said, that their curses shall be upon them who that curse God. I don't know where it says that, but I do know it did say that somewhere. Because God is, He's given us a choice, either just to reject Him and perish forever, and that's their choice, or to choose Him forever, and that's their choice as well. And it's funny because that's how so many North Americans before us were so saved, because, well, the natives were completely saved. Well, because they had dreams. They loved their dreams. They had their dream catchers, they had their spiritual dreams and ancestry dreams. But they also had dreams about gods, and even though they would not talk about with their relatives that believed in other gods, there would be many among them that just believe in this one divine God. This is why so many of them in the colonization days and in the early presidency, that's why many of them chose Jesus, even before them. And when they went to churches, they said, oh, I love this. They all loved Jesus because, well, His love is outstanding. And it's still outstanding today. He's always connecting with people. It's like, a husband going to his wife and just meeting together and just marrying at the spot. It's just instantaneous love. He has that instantaneous love towards us. And He would just bring us away into an everlasting place with love. He has a kingdom of a castle and of manners and all of that stuff. He has a huge kingdom awaiting us, a garden, many beautiful natural scenes and beyond. Just so beautiful, we cannot comprehend. He has that just for us. He has it for His animals, and He's just going to do that no matter what. And do you think that His love is just so genuine that it will go out to the Native Americans, as I said? Remember, you don't have to preach to the people because they already know about it. And once you preach to the people, they go closer to God than usual. And let me tell you why He's so close to people. Because once people give Him the church, the ability to go to church back in the early 1800s and late 1700s, many of them went to church. And then there was one president, I don't like what he did. He gave them a trail of tears. God was so angry with that president at the time. But it was his choice, and it ruined a lot of people's lives. And now they're in sects of the Sioux Native Americans, the Sioux everything, and a lot of the bad ones, they just rejected us because of what we did. Even then, many of the Native Americans did not reject God, they just rejected us. And that's okay. In the end, many were saved, even before us. Especially before us. Because even if they don't like what we look like, now some of them today are just few and far between. And even then, they still, they still connect to the world, but not quite as much because they don't like what we did. Still, they connect to God more than ever. And same with the people in the tribes. Some of them don't like what we do, and some of them don't like the other people and rejected God. once the Christians got to them, and even though he was killed for his testimony, now they are saved. So, as a family, we are connected to God as a family, as the best person ever, as just the most amazing God ever, which I would say, he's just wonderful. I would just say he's so wonderful. As a person that says he's the most wonderful person ever, which he truly is, if you're really connected with him as the best person ever, that you think God is just truly your best, he's your best friend ever. Not only that, best husband and wife, and just you'd rather only be with him, then that's going to happen. Because God's going to do anything just for you, either for rejection or not. He's giving you free choices. Either rejection, the choice to reject him, or the choice to, fall in love with him, and a choice to basically say that you're going to do it by yourself, and a choice to basically treat him like family. Because the Bible did say in Revelation, let those who are holy be holy still. Let those who are righteous be righteous still. Let those who are wicked be wicked still. Let those who are evil be evil still. And those kind of words, Yeah, I believe in somewhere in Romans or Corinthians somewhere that if you don't have love, you're like a clanging cymbal. It's really worthless. And another thing that the Bible said, if you have no works, let your faith be dead. On the other hand, all of that comes from God. Just remember that, okay? Alright, hope you're done now, okay? Bye.